Welcome to the Kiwimana Buzz.
Hey, hi everyone, this is Gary here from the Kiwimana Buzz podcast where we talk about gardening, beekeeping and life. And we do that by talking about the news items of the day, and we also talk about interview beekeepers and gardeners from around the world and get different perspectives on how they keep their bees and how they keep their gardens. Yeah, so it's very busy here at Kiwimana. We've been busy building mesh boards this morning. I've been painting them. We also had to go to the lumberyard to get some more wood. So that's all good. They're all very busy, and thanks to everyone that's ordering products from us. It's really great to helping us support Kiwimana. And today we've got a guest from all the way from Pennsylvania, a town called Lancaster. It's Josiah Garber, and he's the host of the Farming Podcast, and we'll get right into the interview now. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Kiwimana Buzz. This is episode 37. The show notes are kiwimana.co.nz/37. And today on the show we've got Josiah Garber, and he's from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and where he lives with his wife and young son David. And Josiah is the host of the Farming Podcast, which we'll put the link in the show notes for that. And he's passionate about farming, and he's also a beginner beekeeper this year. And he currently has one hive on his property. So how are you, Josiah?
I'm doing very well.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's great to be on the show.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for coming. So we've given the Kiwimana audience a little overview, but take it from here and tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name's Josiah, and right now I run a show called the Farming Podcast, as you already said. But I have a full-time job, not in farming, but my dream is someday to do farming full-time. So I'm working to learn new skills. Our yard's pretty small, but I've been working with gardening and growing vegetables and that sort of thing. And this year I decided to step out there and try beekeeping, which has been a great, it's just been a really, really fun thing for me. And I've really enjoyed that. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm really enjoying all the things that I'm learning. And the beekeeping especially has been a lot of fun.
Oh, fantastic. And you just completed a permaculture course, haven't you, with Jeff Lawton? Is that right?
Yeah, I did. Just a few weeks ago, I actually got my certificate, and that was a great course, and I learned so much. I was really glad I did that. So I'd really recommend that to anybody. I learned a lot. And a lot of the concepts, I feel like they really can be applied to different things, like not just farming, but other areas of life. You could apply them specifically to beekeeping too. And Jeff, he's a great teacher, and he has a lot of great stories as well. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And was it an online course, was it?
Yeah, it was. I was thinking, I wasn't sure how that would go, but it was great. I'm really glad that I held out and went with such a good instructor as Jeff Lawton. That was really neat, and they did a really good job with the course.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, cool. So what's one concept that you learned in that you could apply to beekeeping?
Let me think here. One thing, and I think I followed this year, is using slow and small solutions. So if you have an idea for something, or you want to try something new, it's good to start out small and make your mistakes in a small scale rather than a large scale. So I just had one hive this year. My mother had a hive as well, and so we kind of did the beekeeping thing together. And I feel like if I would have jumped in with 50 or 100 hives, my mistakes would have been a lot more costly. So that's one principle.
Yeah, absolutely. I always recommend beginner beekeepers to start with one or two hives, not start with 50. Yeah, because absolutely, if you can get 2 hives through the winter, then you're doing okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and so because you touched on before that your goal is to do full-time farming, because I understand you're looking for a new property. How's that going?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. Being pretty patient, just taking our time, saving up money, and looking, to make sure we find the right property at the right time. We don't want to be in so much debt that we can't farm. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
yeah,
so we've been looking. I mean, we've looked at a lot of different properties, but we haven't quite found the right one yet.
Yeah. Oh, well, when you find it, you'll know when you get there, won't you?
Yep. I think so.
It's all about the feeling, really.
Yep.
And so, what inspired you to start your farming podcast?
I thought it would be a really good way to share some of the knowledge that I'm learning as I go along on the journey. And I think as you learn something, once you've become more of an expert on it, it's hard to teach other people the beginning things that you learned, early on, just because, there's something you kind of take for granted. And so I wanted to kind of document that process for the future, of, my journey towards farming, because I feel like a lot of people are in the same boat as me. They want to try something different, but it's a long journey and they're not quite sure how to get there. So they can, over time, I think they'll be able to kind of ride along with me on that journey and see, how to do it for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and a great way to learn something is actually teach other people it.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
look at things a lot more thoroughly and stuff. And so, do you? I'm just intrigued by your podcast. Some of them you record from your car. How does that work?
Yeah, I think actually all of them I've recorded from my car.
Oh,
Works
wow.
pretty well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've probably noticed I get a little distracted, or as I should, by the road. So I have to stop a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting. I mean, sometimes it's been pouring down rain. I got a headset microphone that's a dynamic microphone.
Yeah.
And it works really well with, I know you can hear some road noise, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. So I just wanted to get started. I didn't have lots of extra time to devote to it, but I drive to and from work every day. So I thought, some of those commutes I can turn into podcasts. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea. I think I'd be too distracted, to be honest, to do that.
Yeah.
Personally. So,
the future, I'm hoping to not continue that long term. Maybe a couple years down the road, 5 years, I'll be doing it all at the house or the office.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh no, I think your podcast sounds great. So I wouldn't, don't worry about it. And so, how did you get started in beekeeping?
Well, it's interesting. Way back when I was a lot younger, I'm 29 right now. When I was a teenager, probably about middle school or early high school, I read some books about beekeeping because my mom was always interested in beekeeping. So she had some books and she had read them, but she never actually got into it. And I read the books and I thought it was very interesting too, but, at the age that I was, I never took the leap into trying it. So this year my mom said, I'd like to try beekeeping, and would you be interested in it as well? So I said, yeah. And she got a hive and I got a hive. And so we were able to kind of learn together. And that was a really neat process. So.
Oh, fantastic. So what's your favorite beekeeping book?
Well, this might not count as a book, but my favorite book length thing was Michael Bush's website. I read the whole website, and it's probably about the length of certain beekeeping books. And that was my favorite. For actual books, I like the Backyard Beekeeper by, Kim Flodham, I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
That was a really good book. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll look out for that one. Yeah, Michael's got he's got a great website, hasn't he? And I think
I learned so much from that website.
Yeah.
It was great.
I think he has got a book too. I think the book is just basically a copy of his site, that in his words. So, yeah, we'd love to get Michael on the show one day. So, if you're out there, Michael, get in touch if you're good.
Yep.
So, how are your bees going? You said before it's getting cold there, eh? So, how are they all going there?
They seem to be doing well. I bought a 5-frame nucleus colony, 5 medium frames, kind of late in the season. I don't know, it was early summer, I would say.
Yeah.
And so it took them a while to build up, but they look very healthy. There's lots of activity. I went over there. The temperature was, upper 50 degrees Celsius, and the bees were coming in and out. And so, yeah, I feel like things are going really well. My my mom's hive didn't do so well, and I think the mites were a problem. So that's something you learn as a beginner, to watch out for the varroa mites.
Yeah, you got to keep an eye on them at all. How are you?
Sure.
How are you monitoring your mites?
What I've been doing in the past few months is the sticky board, or the sticky board count.
Yeah.
So a 24-hour count, and that seems to be the best way so far, because you can't really see the mites on the bees. At least I haven't been able to. So.
Oh no. Well, if you can, that's usually the end of the hive, to be honest.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah, quite often. Or the other method you can use is a sugar shake method, where you put like 300 bees in a jar and then you put icing sugar on them.
Right.
That's what we've been doing lately, just for instant checks while you're inspecting them. That's another good tip.
Yeah. I always wondered how you get that many bees in the jar, but
you basically just measure them in. You just have. I have a measuring, like a plastic container that I know is 300 bees. I just fill that up and then I just pour it in the jar.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not an exact science, but the good thing about it is it works on top bar hives or hives without mesh boards as well. So.
Mm-hmm.
And because
it seems like you could also get your results a lot quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sort of instantaneous, really. So you could treat it that day if you needed to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's working well. Problem we've found is we've got a lot of hives at different stages, and some have got solid ones, some have got mesh boards. Yeah, it's just a quick way to do it while you're inspecting, but it is very intrusive. You actually have to open up the hive, whereas a mesh board count, it's you can do it without even opening up the beehive.
Right. Yeah.
And so what's one thing that you wish you knew now before you started beekeeping?
Well, I wish I would have known how important varroa mites were before I started. I just, I read a lot of books and stuff, but I didn't realize that if you don't have any strategy for dealing with the varroa mites and you're just running large cell, you're probably, probably, at least that's I understand now.
Oh, okay. Oh, you just cut out there for a minute.
Right. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, so you were just saying that you wish you knew more about varroa mites when you started?
Yeah, because I didn't realize how important it was to have some management style for dealing with them.
Yeah.
I thought, if everything goes well, I won't have to worry about them, but I don't think that's the case, at least where we live.
No, absolutely not. You've got to keep an eye on them and keep watching them all the time. I mean, I think nowadays, I think it was, I've heard in the past someone was saying, today if you're doing beekeeping, you're also mite keeping.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is,
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And so what excites you, Josiah, about beekeeping?
Well, I don't know. There's so many things about beekeeping that are exciting. I'm going to try some swarm trapping this coming spring. That's one thing. I've really enjoyed doing foundationless frames in the hive. That's been really neat just to see how they build out from the top down. And just the challenge of trying to keep the bees alive and healthy without using lots of chemical treatments. That's what really excites me, because I know, at least over here, it's become more difficult to keep bees in the last, 10 or 20 years. And so if we can find a way to keep them without so much effort and inputs into the hive, that's what I'm really excited about. And that's one reason I really liked, what Michael Bush had to say, because a lot of his literature focused on, how can we do things naturally and more simply, so that we can get good results without, spending tons of money and using lots of chemicals in the hive. So that's what I'm most excited about. And the swarm trapping, I'm planning to build about 10 to 20 swarm traps for the spring.
Oh, wow.
So that's my winter project.
Yeah, That sounds good. So you're going to have a lot more hives next year then?
Yeah, that's the plan. I have, I think, 3 more hives ready. So I'll probably order 1 package of bees and then hope at least 2 swarm trap catches. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
And maybe a split if my hive survives the winter.
Oh, that's fantastic. And for the foundationless, how are you doing now? Do you put a strip of wax in the top, or are you just throwing in empty frames?
I actually use Walter T. Kelly frames. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but they have a beveled top bar. There's no wax in it at all. And that's what I've been using. It's been working really well. I'm really happy with it. And I like that the bees can just draw whatever size cells that they want.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
So it's a similar idea to top bars and the top bar beehive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a top bar, but you have the actual frames, and it's a Langstroth hive. And I'm using Michael Bush's suggestion, too, on the medium hive bodies the whole way through the hive. And that does make things easier. I'm hoping that there's not too many downsides to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think it should be good. If you're using all the same size gear, then it works out really well. So you can transfer frames between parts of the hive and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good idea, and they're probably lighter too, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a lot lighter. I mean, I'm a pretty big guy, and I used to work construction. Now I have a desk job. I work with computers all day.
Yeah.
But even a full deep 10 frame, which my mom's hive was that size. Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah.
So I don't know how people do it. But I just didn't want to. I was looking towards the future when I'm 60, 70 years old, and I don't want to be lifting that much weight.
No, they weigh about I think it's about 40 or 50 kilograms, which is probably I think it's about 25 pounds, isn't it? Is that right? I think that's how they work it out.
Or 100 and I think it's a little over 100 pounds.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah. It's not.
I remember right.
It's hard work, especially when they're full of bees.
Yeah, are you running 10 frame deeps?
We call them full size, but we've got what we generally do is have 2 fulls at the bottom for the brood chamber, and then we have 3/4 or mediums above that for the honey supers.
Right.
So the only full we have to move is the second one, really.
Right. Yeah, that makes it nice, but yeah, I lifted some of those big heavy boxes and full of honey, and that was pretty strenuous.
Oh yeah, it's horrendous. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Because I know Margaret, my partner, she actually damaged her back when we first started beekeeping by lifting full boxes.
Yeah.
So you got to be very careful.
Getting a good technique down probably helps too. Just keeping it close to your body and making sure you have a good grip on things, because it can be a little awkward. I mean, the handles on the beehive aren't always as big as you would like them. Yeah,
that's true, especially when you're wearing big gloves, eh?
Yeah, I actually stopped wearing gloves about halfway through the year, and I think I only got stung once since then.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I mean, that is the next step, Ada, to not you wearing gloves, so it makes you a lot more careful, I think.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah,
yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I felt like I was able to manipulate the frames a lot better. And I did get stung, once or twice, but after a while, I felt like I didn't really get stung anymore because I wasn't, squishing bees and that sort of thing. I could feel what I was doing a lot better.
Yeah.
And I just take some smoke, put it over my hands. I heard that was a good idea. And the one time I got stung, I think a bee got caught between my watch and my wrist.
Oh, okay.
So I don't wear my watch anymore while I'm working in the hive.
No, absolutely. Yeah, the worst one I've had is when they fly behind your glasses. They sting on the eye.
Oh, yeah. Do you wear a veil usually when you're working with the bees?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
I do too.
I hate being stung on the face.
Yeah.
Not a good experience. And so,
I had early on I had a bee inside the veil, and it didn't sting me. It was just kind of hanging out in there. I'm not sure how it got in, but
yeah. Oh, that happens, eh? It's quite freaky when you see a bee on your veil and you can see it. You can see the back of it. You think, oh, he's inside. He's not on the outside. Yeah. The best thing to do is just slowly take it off, because she'll try and get higher. So she's not trying to sting you. She's just trying to get to the darkness. So.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And so we touched on before about varroa mites, but what do you think is the biggest issue facing beekeeping in your area at the moment?
I think it's two things, and this is just a guess. I don't really know, but I think it's the varroa mites first. I think there's a lot of pressure on the bees from varroa mites, and I think some of the other problems might be caused by varroa mites, like a lot of the die-outs in the winter. From what I've read and what I've looked at in my own hive, I think varroa mites is a big thing. The other one that I'm convinced of is I really think a lot of the chemicals that are being sprayed and used in farming are having a negative effect on the bees, and that thing, the chemical problem combined with the varroa mite problem, I think those two things are the biggest thing, and they might kind of connect together a little bit. Like the chemical issue might make it harder for the bees to deal with the pressure from the varroa mites. So that's my best guess from everything I've read and seen. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I have heard that theory before about the pesticides are kind of like making them less immune to things, so they actually become unhealthier. So I have heard that theory before as well, and I think that's probably close to the mark, to be honest.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people say, or several people say that the natural cell size for the bees, they do a lot better with varroa mite. And from what I've read, it makes sense to me because you're reducing the time that the cell's uncapped, so the varroa mite has less time to lay more varroas in the cell. So.
Yeah, because bees were actually artificially enlarged, weren't they? I think in the 1800s or something. So. Yeah,
which I thought was strange, but
yeah, I think the theory was the bigger they were, the more honey they'd bring in.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Oh, so are you trying to regress them into small cell size?
Yeah, I am actually. So, I'll add in a frame or two in the middle of the brood nest, and then move the other frames out towards the edges.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right, tell me how you get on with that. Yeah, I've heard conflicting things. I mean, some people say it's the greatest thing around, other people say it doesn't make any difference. So,
I figured I'd try it, see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you'll have to talk about that on your podcast and keep us all informed what's happening with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. And so, do you have any other pests in your area that you have to deal with? Do you deal with much bear problems?
At least where our hives are, there's not a lot of bears. Because we're close enough to farms and cities that the bears aren't too bad.
Yeah.
But I think like the small hive beetle, there's some pressure from them. It's not near as bad as the varroa mites. And I haven't experienced wax moth, but I've heard that can be a problem in our area. Yeah,
I think wax moths are only a problem if your hive's really weak. If you've got a strong hive, they won't bother it.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have small?
And same thing for small hive beetles too. I've heard that as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. So do you have small hive beetles up your way?
Yeah. I just opened the hive on Saturday, I think, and I saw a couple in there. They didn't seem to be doing too much damage though. So.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yep. And because you've got a young son, haven't you? He's 2 years old. Does he get involved in beekeeping at all?
A little bit. He likes to run up to the hive and stick his face a couple inches from the entrance, and seems to enjoy watching the bees running in and out. But other than that, not too much yet. He likes honey.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, you have to get him a little veil.
Yep.
And so, I understand you've also got a garden planting calculator. What does that do, and how can that help our listeners?
Yeah. For the U.S. listeners, I have a garden planting calculator. It's for Android cell phones, and it's an app. What it does is it allows you to know what you can plant right now in your garden.
Oh, okay.
So you would just put in your zip code, and then you choose the plants you want to plant that year, or things you enjoy eating, and then you can hit the button, and it'll tell you everything you can plant right now and how many days left you have to plant it. And the reason I developed it is because it got kind of confusing to always try to figure out what I could plant different times of year, especially for fall crops, cooler weather crops. And so this way, anytime I have space in the garden or time to work out in the garden, I can just open it up and it'll show me all the seeds that I can plant, or it also shows the seedlings that can be planted, that sort of thing. And so it just makes it easier to garden.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. And so when is the New Zealand version coming out?
I don't know. If you can get me some data on zip codes from New Zealand, I guess you guys have them there.
Yeah, we have
with
postcodes.
The frost dates.
Oh, okay.
With the frost dates, then I could probably work on getting that pulled together. But I don't know.
Got to have the data, right? Oh, well, if any keen gardeners are out there in New Zealand and want to provide Josiah with that, then drop him a line.
Yep,
absolutely. And so, what's your beekeeping plans for the coming season? I know you touched on you doing swarm captures. I guess you're going to expand your bee yard or your apiary. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm going to have 2 or 3 more hives, probably in another location to see how that goes. And I'm going to try to split my current hive if they do well through the winter, because I think that'll be a good way to get another hive of bees. And I'm just going to try to keep reading and learning as much as I can and trying new things and not being too afraid to make mistakes so I can keep expanding my apiary.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there are any mistakes, just sorry if you don't learn from them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think there's a page on Michael Bush's website where he talks about making mistakes and how a lot of people are afraid of doing it, but how important it is to the learning process. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good. Oh, that's fantastic. And so, what are you planting at the moment in your garden? I suppose you're coming into winter, right? So there's not much going on there.
Yeah, we're more doing cleaning up of the garden and planning for next year. I do have some lettuce and some kale and spinach that I'm growing in the cold weather. So most of the things are starting to freeze now and aren't growing too well. So
yeah. And what's the best thing for in your area to plant for bees?
I'm not sure. There's quite a few things that can be planted. I don't know. Bee balm is one.
Bee balm. Never heard of that. Is that what sort of plant is that?
It's like a very fragrant, bushy type of plant. Kind of smells like lemons. You can make a tea out of it as well. So
it's not like a lemon. Yeah. It's not lemon balm, is it?
I don't know if it's the same plant or not. It might be.
Yeah. Oh, if you find the Latin name, drop me an email. We'll look it up because the Latin names all stay the same, but the local names often change.
Yeah. And that's one thing I'd like to learn more about is the different plants that can be used for bee forage. Yeah, because I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I got some seeds last week for borage, which is meant to be a great food for bees. So.
Yeah,
check that out. I just got to try and convince Margaret to let me plant them somewhere because she's the gardener, so she knows where everything goes. So.
Maybe I need a bee planting calculator to know when to plant forage for bees. Absolutely,
that would be great.
That'd be neat. Yeah, it'd be something to think about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing about the plants of the bees is every country is different, every area is different. So it's it'd be very good to have a calculator like that. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. And thanks for coming along, Josiah. It's been really great. And what's the best way? Good. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, if you want to email me, that's probably the best way. It's Josiah at thefarmingpodcast.com, and that's Josiah. You can also leave a comment on the website at thefarmingpodcast.com. And I'd really love to hear what you have to say about beekeeping or farming. If you have any questions too, we can talk about those on the podcast as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Okay, well, will you stay on the line and we'll just close the show up there. So thanks for listening, guys. And you want to look at the show notes for this, and we'll put all those links to Josiah's various websites on kiwimana.co.nz/37. So thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.